Okay, I think we're all set. I've had a few people ask me if it's possible to applique with the SE-400, and the answer is yes. The only drawback to this machine is that you can only download patterns that are 4x4. You can use multiple size frames, but the only patterns that this machine will recognize are the 4x4 patterns. If you have the 6x10 frame that you can buy on Amazon, it has one here and it has another clip-on up here. So if you want to applique like a t-shirt, you can do a 4x4 pattern with this size down here and then move it up, and then you'll be able to do another 4x4 up here. That's the difference between this machine and other ones. So if you want to go with the 5x7 designs, go to the next version up, which I think is the PE 770, something like that. Okay, what I mean applique is this: taking another piece of fabric and appliquing it onto as a patch, or appliquing it onto another base fabric. This was one of the first ones I tried. I forgot to pull off the threads like they said to on the instructions, and it makes a mess, so you got to pull off the threads, and I'll show you when we get to that part. Another thing you can do is you can use your applique designs and then actually put other designs within there. Like if you were going to make a medieval knight in shining armor outfit, you can actually do something like that with a crown and all your letterings, because it's got 5 fonts of letterings built into this machine, so you can do that also. You can also, I shrunk this too far down, you can take existing patterns in the frames here, and you can actually use them as applique on certain designs. I made a mistake on this one. I shrunk it all the way to the smallest size, and then when I went to do the outside frame, it was too small for my heart, but you can do it. It's just making sure you get your settings correct. Here's the one I was practicing on too, where you could do like letters in the middle and then letters underneath. This one I made a mistake, and I cut my inside frame. This was one of the first ones I did. I cut the inside too small, so what I did is I just shrunk my pattern and came back and did another row of applique, and I was able to save that K, but I didn't care for my initials down here on the bottom, so it didn't make any difference anyway. So anyway, that's some of the things you can do on this machine. So first thing you got to do is you've got to find your, take your, we'll just call this the patch or the applique fabric, and decide what you're going to do. So you want to put this, so you want to iron on. This is lightweight or medium Pellon iron-on interfacing, and that's what they recommend for your applique pieces, some kind of iron-on interfacing, so you get some body to the actual interfacing itself. Okay, so you're going to just cut your pattern out of here, so you don't really have to be pretty fussy on this one. I'm going to go ahead and use white thread so you can see what I'm doing, because I'll do the purple fabric on the dark purple fabric with the white applique so it stands out. So you just want to get this on as tight as you can. You want to make it as tight as a drum, so keep tightening and pulling. Your needle has to come up and clear this bottom, clear the fabric. So if there's any kind of looseness in your fabric, that's how you end up getting those nesting, you know, where it looks like a pile of threads on the bottom of your fabric. So the tighter you get this, the better off you're going to be. And make sure you drop your feed dogs. So check your machine and make sure that your feed dogs are not moving with your stitch. There's a switch on the back, you just shut it down. Okay, the nice thing about this machine, well, that's not really a nice thing. They've only got one pattern on this machine, but at least it gives you the step-by-step instructions, and it tells you exactly what part of the pattern you're working on. Whereas if you download a pattern from the internet, it doesn't really tell you exactly. It'll just number them like 1 through 8 or 1 through 12 or whatever it is you're doing. So let me get a little bit closer here. So, okay, so first step is putting your fabric on your machine. This is the fabric that has the iron-on Pellon on it. Okay, so let me make sure you got a good view here. Let me swing it around. Okay, so step 1. Okay, so let's go to our only pattern that's on the machine. So go to your patterns, raise position. Okay. Okay, go to your patterns and go to, on this machine it's number 40. It's the only one that actually comes up as an applique design, which is right there. So you want to choose that. Okay, so applique material, it's telling you use your applique material, and we're going to do number 1. So lower your pressure foot, and when you get the green light, go ahead and turn on. Let me cut this thread so it doesn't catch. Okay, so just sew that on up. Okay, if you look right here on the picture, you'll see a little pair of scissors right there. Well, it's already passed up, but if you would have saw a little pair of scissors, and that is telling you that this is what you need to cut out. Okay, can you see that in the picture? Okay, let me loosen this up so I can get this off of here. Okay, now what they tell you to do is cut directly on the stitching. Don't cut on the inside of the stitching because your design will be too small, and don't cut too far outside of the stitching because they want you to remove these stitches. If you don't remove these stitches, they want you to cut right on those stitches. And they want you to make sure that you remove them after you've cut them. So cut directly on those stitches, not to the inside, not to the outside, but right on them. Let me get rid of some of this bulky material. Okay, so right on your stitches. Okay, so there's that one. I was at Walmart the other day and they had the the spray-on adhesive, but they wanted almost $10 for the spray can, and I didn't know if I was going to use that much, so I'm just using my own fabric glue. Okay, so go ahead and remove those stitches. You cut them. If you cut right on them, they should come right off, and you want to get them off because if you don't, they're going to make it look really bad on your finished project, and you don't want that. Okay, so there we are. We've got our iron-on Pellon. We've got our design. Okay, so now our next step, let me push this back a little bit. Our next step is hooping up our base fabric because it's going to give us our applique position. I'm just using tearaway stabilizer and a pair of purple fabric. Now, they say in the book, if you read the manual, it says to make sure that your fabric has been pre-washed. And I think that's because they don't want you to have any stabilizer in the, let me get rid of this thread. They don't want you to have any of the heavy-duty stabilizer in the, so that it'll shrink when you throw it in the wash machine. So if you wash it out first, you won't have a really bad looking pucker to your design once it's all been washed up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish tightening this up and put it on the machine, and then I'll come back for part 2 on this. I don't want to make these videos too long. My window recording device isn't working, and I thought it was because my computer was just filled to the brim, but I think it's time to break down and buy a new computer. I just don't want to have to learn a new operating system. You know, it's hard to learn new things. So let me go ahead and shut down, and I'll be right back, and we'll get started on number 2 of 4 in the applique position.